Live from downtown Detroit, Local 4 News at 5 starts now.
We're following two big stories here at 5. New information on what was found with the Michigan State University shooter after his deadly rampage that reveals some new clues about his mental state and possibly a motive.
But we begin with a forewarned weather alert. A wintry mix could have an impact on the roads if you are headed out tonight. This is a live look at 696 and Inkster in Oakland County. And thank you for being here at 5. I'm Karen Drew, in for Kimberly Gill.
I'm Devin Skillian. Let's start things off here at 5 with meteorologist Kim Adams and what we need to know. Kim.
Well, it took a little while to overcome the dry air that we have in place, but we are starting to see some freezing drizzle, especially north of I-69, and then it changes over to snow in parts of central Michigan. But we'll zoom in a bit closer for you, just getting a little freezing drizzle now in Oxford, Romeo, Memphis, also in Richmond, Port Huron, also getting some of that ice right now as well. And we've just seen a little area develop outside of Ann Arbor. Freezing drizzle there, and we'll head a little bit farther to the west, and Lansing should be getting a bit of freezing drizzle here within the next 30 minutes. We're watching temperatures as they have dropped below freezing in many spots. Now the ground is still relatively warm because we've had such mild air, but we will start to see a little bit of ice accumulating here over the next several hours. I'll have more in the forecast coming up. If you want to keep up to date on the latest radar, you can always download our free Forewarned Weather app. Just go to your favorite app store and type in WDIV.
All right, Kim, our other top story at 5. New details revealed on the moments before and after the shooting at Michigan State as the East Lansing campus begins now to reopen.
Police say the man who killed 3 students and shot 5 others was found with 2 handguns, dozens of rounds of ammo, and a note that may contain clues about a motive. He had no known connection to Michigan State or his victims, so it's still unclear why he targeted Berkey Hall and the MSU Union on campus.
Students were visibly emotional as they were allowed to return to Berkey Hall today. The FBI and victim support staff were there to greet them as they came to pick up belongings left behind when the shooter opened fire.
We saw the exact place that we were sitting down, and it kind of just takes you through that whole moment again. And it makes you think how grateful I am that I made it out alive.
Sean Lay is live at Berkey Hall this afternoon.
And Sean, you do have some new information on the investigation.
Karen, Devin, another eye-opening day here on the campus of Michigan State University. So much new information coming forward. Let's start with this. Yesterday at 5, we did talk about the 2 handguns found with the shooter. Now we learned that there was a note with the shooter as well, handwritten, saying he was going to target MSU, and then a list of other potential targets. Take a look.
Do you have a concealed carry permit? I'm working on it.
Lansing police body camera footage showing the 2019 arrest of Anthony McCray on a charge of carrying a concealed weapon, a felony that the prosecutor agreed to plead down to a misdemeanor. That decision allowing McCray to legally purchase 2 handguns, weapons that we have found McCray did not register. With MSU's campus reeling after 8 students were shot Monday night, MSP was directed to a man walking 3 miles off of campus. It was McCray. He said nothing to police as he took his own life. He had 2 handguns on him at that time.
Those handguns are both 9mm. He also had additional magazines and ammunition on his person. 2 weapons
McCray would not have been able to buy if convicted of a felony gun charge from this arrest back in 2019.
In that case, a motion was made by the defense, and then before that motion was pushed through to a decision that the then prosecutor of Ingham County chose to drop that charge and negotiate down to a lesser crime, which gave him no jail time, no felony charge to prohibit him from buying additional weapons in the future. We would all hope that a prosecutor would uphold the law as it's written. There's always room for some type of discrepancy or discretion. However, that one will be scrutinized for a long time, I'm sure.
Police also found a note in McCray's wallet. He wrote that he would shoot up MSU, then named other targets he had in his sights: a church, a Meyer warehouse where he once worked, a fast food place, a discount store, and school district in New Jersey, where McCray is from.
Through our investigation, we found that he had had contact with some of those places. He was an employee of the Meyer warehouse at one time. In a couple of other businesses, it appears that he'd had some issues with the employees there where he was asked to leave.
Back here live at MSU, asked to leave, so being slighted by others may be part of the possible motive here. 6 o'clock, guys. More on McCray, the loner. More details on that. Also, Berkey here, right down the block, the student union. Police today very thoughtful on how they described how this guy would be able to do what he did and walk off for hours. All the information coming in, they thought he was still in the building. So all the concentration was on the union at that time. So much more detail at 6.
All right, thank you, Sean. And today we also learned more about the 5 students still at Sparrow Hospital.
One of our students has moved from critical to stable condition. And so I just want you to continue to pray for those families. Pray for the families who will be having services over the next couple of days, for their students who have not made it.
Right now, students at Wayne State are gathering for a vigil to pray for those 5 in the hospital tonight and remember the 3 lives lost.
Megan Woods live on campus with more on that. Megan?
Yes, Devin, this just started moments ago. The president of Student Senate had spoken. Right now, it is the president of the university who's speaking and, just talking about the tragedy and the devastation of losing those 3 students and just remembering them, but also the fact that there are still people in the hospital who are fighting for their lives. And when we spoke to the Student Senate president about today, they were talking about how frustrated they were and the fact that, they needed to gather. You see all these students here with Michigan State apparel on or just any type of green, but, they're frustrated. So while they are having a moment of silence and they are remembering, they're also making a call to action. Take a listen to why she believes this time may be different.
We have a lot of students in the student government there who's also really passionate about it, and all of the other student governments across Michigan are really passionate about making this change. So we have more of a united front in confronting legislation about making safer gun laws and supporting the mental health of people.
They're tired of having to plan these vigils. When I went inside, we're right next to the student center. There's a poster there saying Oxford Strong. So again, they want change to happen, and it starts with gathering. You see a crowd developing behind me. They also spray painted MSU Strong in a rock nearby. So they really are, trying to come together to console each other, but again, make a difference. Live in Midtown, I'm Megan Woods, Local 4.
So much to handle for our community. All right. Thank you, Megan. Meantime, the MSU Athletic Department announced the Michigan State-Michigan basketball game will go on as planned on Saturday in Ann Arbor. University offices reopened today at Michigan State, but classes are canceled through Sunday. Coming up at 6, the emotional plea from students for more time away from class.
The news we're following today, the EPA heading to Wayne County after a train derailment which knocked several cars off the tracks. The Norfolk Southern train was carrying hazardous materials when it derailed. This was near Huron River Drive and Haggerty in Van Buren Township. It does not appear, though, that anything hazardous leaked. Rod Maloney live there. Big concerns over this, of course, as we all consider still the crisis going on in Ohio, Rod.
That's right, Devin. Now take a look behind me here. You can see they've dragged one of the moved trains over here. This is Huron River Drive. It is closed down, and you can see a massive crew out here. They're bringing in some rails because they're going to have to replace sections of track here. And I can tell you that as they do this work, it is starting to get really ugly. The weather deteriorating out here, but I can also tell you that the folks who live out here, boy, are they happy this didn't go or become any worse than it did. The westbound freight train stretched half a mile down the tracks next to Belleville Lake. As Drone 4 shows us, 7 cars jumped the rails. 3 actually tipped over, shedding their axles in the process. A couple were empty. 1 contained shredded metal as cargo. Inside the Accurate transmission shop, just steps away from the tracks, they're used to trains at all hours. But owner Louis Jeffrey told Local 4 this morning things turned vastly different.
It shook our building, it was serious when that happened, because every day when the train goes by, we hear the horn and that kind of thing and whatever, so we're used to it. But this noise was unbelievable.
Louis and his team sprinted toward the wrecked cars, wanting to make certain no one needed help. Fortunately, no one did. More than that, he tells us it's a true blessing this didn't turn into a Palestine, Ohio situation.
But yeah, you always think about what's in these train cars. You never know, and that kind of thing.
And consider Van Buren Fire Chief David McAnally's reaction when he heard about it.
When it first came in, it came in as two trains colliding, so we thought it was going to be much different or bigger than it was.
Still, it did block a number of important intersections across the area, snarling traffic. Norfolk Southern decoupled trains on either side of the derailment and moved them away. One, in fact, did contain hazardous materials.
One car that had chlorine, liquid chlorine on it, it was on the unaffected side of the derailment, so it was on the track, was never affected, and no damage to it.
Now, the chief tells us that train car right there, the rail car, is going to probably sit there for another month because they're going to have to scrap it. You can see that the axles are lying there on the ground. Those were just moved here by some bulldozers here a little while ago. They've got gravel in. They've got all kinds of people out here working. So they're going to be busy here tonight, but they figure they'll have the cars make the tracks open here by about 8 p.m. Reporting live in Van Buren Township, Rod Maloney, Local 4.
All right, Rod, what a view to see all those axles. Gives you an indication of just the power that was at work here. And still ahead, the scene that I mentioned earlier of the more serious train derailment. Feds now there in Ohio.
How many homes are in the danger zone tonight as the health concerns grow? Plus, I have a brand new investigation.